to the show. I'm Carol. Now, have you been standing up a bit more than normal? Maybe standing up while you've been watching TV? Remember, anything you do is better than nothing. We're going to be talking about emotional intelligence. Do you know what it is? We meet EQ expert John Lane Smith, and we're going to be discussing how we can improve our communication with others. Get your energy going with the 5-minute fitness routine. Because I've got the broken foot in the moon boot, we're going to do a fun chair exercise routine. Then we meet Erin, an inspiring 96-year-old who had never been to sea and then decided in her 60s to go and live on a yacht for over 10 years. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Energy for Life. Now, when we talk about health, we talk about the 3 areas. We talk about physical, mental, and emotional. And today we're going to be looking at emotions. Some of you may have heard over the past few years EQ, emotional intelligence. Today we have an expert in EQ, John Lane Smith. Now John, he is a professional speaker, an international best-selling author, and he's been studying for over 30 years people's behaviour. He's studied over 13,000 people from a diverse range of industries. As one of the first Australian pioneers in emotional intelligence, John has helped thousands of people to shift their mindset and improve their relationships and their communications. Hi John, welcome to Over 50 So What? Lovely to have you on the show. Haven't seen you for a few years.
Absolutely. Love to see you, Carolyn, too.
Now, you're the expert in EQ, and there's probably a lot of people watching that have never heard of EQ. They think, what is EQ, emotional intelligence? What is it, compared to IQ, which is the normal thing that people refer to. So can you explain to us, what is emotional intelligence?
Probably best to tell you a bit of a story. How it all started was there were 2 senators over in the States. One's name is Mayer and the other one's Saliboy. And one was around at the other bloke's house building a shed. And they were talking about one of the other senators who was absolutely brilliant. His IQ was so high, he was just one of these brilliant-minded people. But he just couldn't get on with people. And so there are these 2 guys really getting on. They're saying, he's got such an amazing IQ, but he's really, he just got no emotional intelligence. And he said, well, that's EQ, that's emotional quotient. The IQ is intelligence quotient. So, and that's measured by just doing a test and seeing how clever you are against the test. EQ is about where your emotions are, basically on 4 levels. So it looks at the awareness that you have of yourself and your emotions at the time, your awareness of others when you're talking to them, your spatial awareness. So how appropriate would it be to act when you're in a church, when you're at a party, or when you're in prison? There's probably 3 different things. And then the bottom line is basically how you communicate. And the communication really is all about the words we use, but probably more important about that, all the body language we use. So is the body language congruent? Does it agree with what you're saying? So if I said, yes, I really understand what you're saying, it would be very confusing, wouldn't it? Does that give you a bit of an idea?
Yes, well, when you were telling that story, what came to mind was the TV show Doc Martin. I don't know if you've ever watched Doc Martin.
Yep. I was going to mention that. He's a bit on the spectrum, isn't he?
I would say that he was very low on the EQ.
I don't think he's ever heard of EQ. And when you think about how you cringe when he does some of those things, and he keeps a deadpan face, and he's just got no awareness of how he's making other people go, oh my God. Yeah, very good example. Well done.
So how does EQ, emotional intelligence, help us in everyday life? I mean, I think you've sort of alluded to part of that.
Basically, if you can, it builds a better connection, deeper relationship faster with people. If you're going to be just driven by your own emotions and just do what you want to do, that's going to be a challenge. You've got to be empathetic with other people. Where are they in their lives? Where are they in what you're trying to get across to them? How are you trying to, have you given them good context? And it's so much about listening. It's so much about trying to understand their perspective before you literally try and put your point of view. How we start even a conversation with somebody. I was lucky enough 2 years ago now to do a fabulous trip through, driving trip through Italy and the Austrian Alps. And driving through Italy, I purposely did this for an example. You know, you get these little stalls by the side of the road, and you get these little Italian mamas, nonnas, by the side of the road selling their tomatoes. So I pulled over to the side of the road, stopped the car, walked up with a great big smile on my face, and just looked at the tomatoes, then looked at the little old lady and said, "Do you speak English?" Her immediate response was, "Oh, no, 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 no." And she literally nearly fell over walking away from me. So anyway, we did a lot of body language, and I bought some tomatoes. And anyway, about another 50K, 100K along, another stall, almost the same looking nonna behind the stall, pulled the car over, walked over. Now, this is what I did differently. Now, for my sins, I used to own an Italian restaurant, and I called it La Dolce Vita. La Dolce Vita means the good life. So this time, instead of going up and saying, "Do you speak English?" So trying to get somebody into my language, I said, I looked around like this, looked at the tomatoes and said, La Dolce Vita. And she went, the good life. Going like this. And all of a sudden I said, "Do you speak English?" And she said, just a little. So you can see that the first time I tried to get her into my language and she moved back. The second time I went out my way to speak her language and she moved forward. And that's really the key crux of how we can look at how emotional intelligence can work if we really try and be empathetic about how we land our communication with other people.
So for people that are sitting here watching this thinking, well, you know, maybe I could be a better communicator. I don't quite get, you know, my message through to a few different people. How do we become more conscious of our own EQ, and how do we work on becoming better?
It really is about listening more and trying to see it from the other person's perspective. If somebody looks at us in a strange way, we sometimes feel less than we are. If somebody is not thinking and they say something that's not doesn't make us feel right, it makes us again feel less than we are. So if we look at that and then do the counter for other people, it's those little things we can do to start off good conversations first. It's so much about the body language as well. So how do we start off? How do we greet people? So you and I tend to be quite smiley sort of people. Do you know people who are smiling inside, they just forgot to tell their face? It's the impact we have on other people. A smile, well, in my book, it says a smile stands for self-motivation is life force energy. So it not only smiles when we smile, can we smile when we feel like crying? Not easy. When you bring humour into it, even before we know somebody, if we approach somebody smiling, it'll start the whole thing off so much better.
Well, I think that'd be a great challenge to our viewers, you know, just to see if they can smile more. And, you know, when someone comes to visit them, to smile more and to sit up straight or stand up straight and smile and just see what happens.
My mum was in her home in the last few years of her life, and it was just a joy to go and see her. So she would smile because I'd come and see her, but I'd notice her with the other residents. And literally, I knew a couple that she sort of got on with a bit better than the others. but she would make a bigger effort to actually smile at the ones she didn't get on with so much. And they were the ones who used to take a bit more time to build a smile. So if she did it first, the likelihood that she was, and it worked for her. They just loved her.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, John. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love your little pearls of wisdom and your insights into what human behaviour is and isn't. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Fantastic. Thanks for the opportunity. All the very best. You're doing a wonderful thing here, Carol.
Welcome to 5 Minute Fitness. We're just going to show you some moves to start with, to give you a preview. I've got a moon boot on, so I'm doing it all seated. If you're able to stand up, just do the move standing up. I'm sure you can work it out. So one move is forward, forward, back, back, forward, forward, back, back. So we just go like that. Next move, we go out, out, in, out, out, in. And then we're going to put it together. So we go forward, forward, back, back, out, out, in. And that's it. Just note that I'm playing with the opposite hand, as we want to get the legs going at the same time. Bit of air guitar. Okay, now we're going to do forward, forward, back, back, forward, forward, back, back, forward, forward, back, back. That's it. Forward, forward, back. And you can swing your arms if you like. Forward. That's it. Looking good. Feeling great. Now we're going to go out, 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 in, out, out, in, out, out, in, out, out, in, out, out. Now we're going to put the arms in. Out, out, in, out. And guess what we're going to do? Yes! We're going to do one of each. Are you ready? We're ready. Let's do it. Forward, forward, back, back, out, out, in, forward, forward, back, back, out, out, in. Doesn't matter if you make a mistake, just join on in, just keep moving. Creating your own little choreography. And arms. Out, out. Forward. Out. Forward. Out. Forward. Out. Just a couple more. Alright, now what we're going to do is hands pointing in, little knee push-ups, knee and up, knee and up. Try and keep your back straight. If you're standing up, you can do wall push-ups, or you can get on the floor and do knee push-ups. That's it. Now, again. Now let's walk on the spot. And do a little shoulder. Walk. Shoulder. Walk. Shoulder. Walk. moves now. Easy peasy. Out, out. That's it. And guess what? Yes, we're going to do one of each. Okay, let's go forward. Forward, out, out. Forward, forward, out, out. Forward, out. Forward, out. Excellent. Okay, let's do knee push-ups. Down, down, and up. Nice straight back. Down, and up. That's it. Easy peasy, you're done and dusted. 5 minutes a day. Hi everyone, welcome to Everyday Legends. In this segment we feature someone who's led an inspiring life after 50. And today we have the very lovely Erin Ryan. Now Erin was born in 1925 and she enlisted in the Women's Air Force and became an aircraft fitter. And so she was working as an aircraft fitter during World War II. A female pioneer in this area. And it was there that she met a mechanic who became her first husband. After the war, Erin became a ground hostess with TAA. And then she moved into PR in the hospitality industry. She was so successful at it, she was constantly being headhunted to work for different hotel chains. It was in the hotel industry she met her second husband, and this time she was in her 50s, and she married her second husband, Kevin. And they decided, when she was almost 60, to buy a struggling motel and turn it around into a very, very successful business. Then, in their 60s, they decided, that's it, we're going to buy a yacht. And they bought a yacht and lived on the yacht and sailed around Australia for 12 years. So they spent 12 years in their 60s and 70s sailing around Australia and living on the yacht. Now when Erin came back to dry land, she now lives in Jindaraa and she has 2 children and 3 grandchildren. She's now 96. Hi Erin, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Been learning a lot about your amazing history and what you've been up to since you were born, actually. Your daughter told me when you were born in 1925. And you've obviously done some amazing things through your life. And so we're really interested because this show is all about people that are a bit older, that are over 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever, over 50. So we're very interested to know, I understand you actually remarried in your 50s. So you found love again and remarried. And you also bought a motel when you were in your late 50s.
Yes, yes. Wanting to make enough money to buy a yacht and retire.
Yeah, so you made enough money from this motel and to buy a yacht, and then you actually lived on this yacht for 12 plus years.
Right, yes.
And I believe you weren't actually a sailor woman either.
Never been to sea.
So here you are, you're in your 60s and you go, I'm going to go live at sea for 12 years and you've never been out to sea. I mean, what made you do that?
And well, my husband was, when he first met me, he said that he wanted to do this when he retired. And I thought in your dreams, but anyway, we did work and save for it. And yes, he'd done, Kevin, my husband, had done 6 Sydney Hobart, so I knew I was in safe hands.
So what was the best thing about living on a boat?
Just a wonderful peace and serenity. Well, they were the same thing, isn't it? Peace, serenity, yeah. It was just such a wonderful life after our busy time, after being so terribly busy.
It's very lucky that you don't get seasick then, if you'd never been sort of in that hobby before.
My husband told me that if I got sick, he'd throw me overboard with a bucket of blood.
So you definitely made sure you're never going to be seasick, right?
Yes. We boarded the yacht when I turned 60, and we were actually sailing till I was 72.
Wow, fantastic. So for anyone watching today who's, you know, late 50s, in their 60s, and they're thinking about doing something crazy, like going and living on a boat for the next 10 years, what would you say to them?
Go for it. No, not too late.
So were you actually scared about doing it, or you just trusted your husband so much that it was just a new adventure?
It was just a new adventure to me, yes. I wasn't nervous. I was quite happy to be there with him.
So what motivated you when you were back in your 50s and 60s?
The whole motivation was to finally be able to do your own thing, and you know, because I'd had years of having to work and worry about whether I might have enough money, that sort of thing, you know.
How do you keep your mind so active, Erin?
I do a lot of reading. I love to read. I've got this wonderful daughter that keeps me up with the latest.
Yes, that wonderful daughter Denise who's listening, yes.
Yes, she might evict me.
You better keep in her good books. Now that you've got to this amazing age of 96, and these days, you know, most Australians are going to live into their 90s. That's, you know, that's our longevity at the moment. What advice would you give, looking back, to someone who's in their 50s and 60s, how to make the most out of life? What advice would you give people?
Don't give up, just keep up, you know, don't give in easily, and keep as active as you can be.
Great, so keep as active as you can be and don't give up.
That's right. And Denise just reminded me, don't turn down the opportunities as they turn up. And I've been very lucky they've turned up for me.
Yes, I understand, you know, you've had a very amazing history where you're being headhunted and people, you know, you had such value to offer people that they were chasing you down and they were saying, we want Erin.
That's right.
Never let an opportunity go by and make the most of it and keep active. Well, it's been lovely having on the show. All the best. I'm sure you're still celebrating your birthday.
Yeah, still celebrating.
So thanks so much for joining us on the show, Erin.
Thank you, Carol. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. I hope you've been inspired to keep active and maybe try something new, like live on a yacht. If you'd like more information on emotional intelligence, please go to our website and we'll send you out an information sheet. And you can also get a free copy of my book, Alive and Kicking, on the website. Please join Over 50 So What Facebook and YouTube. And in the wise words of Erin, don't give up, keep active, and don't let opportunities go by. I'm Carol, and this is Over 50 So What? Thanks for watching our TV show. Be sure to hit subscribe and then you'll never miss an episode. Jump on Facebook, join our group, get in on the fun, fitness, wellness and inspiration. I'm Carol, over 50. So what?